New York City had always been a hub of ambition, with its towering skyscrapers and endless opportunities. But in the heart of this bustling metropolis was a building that would soon become infamous for a crime that would shake its very foundations. The offices of Crescent Innovations were pristine, modern, and sleek, the epitome of corporate success. The company, led by the enigmatic and powerful CEO, Dalton Shaw, had been rapidly climbing the ladder of tech companies, but it was also a place where greed and power hid behind a glossy exterior. Maya Everhart was 27, brilliant and full of promise. She had been recruited by Crescent Innovations just over a year ago and quickly became one of their brightest talents. With her dark brown eyes, sharp intellect, and a smile that could light up any room, Maya was everything the company needed. She had a way of solving problems others couldn't, a mind that saw solutions in places others saw only obstacles. But in the world of big tech, where power plays and dirty politics ran deep, Maya's sharpness also made her enemies. Maya had always been ambitious, but she'd also held on to a piece of her humanity, a piece that became increasingly dangerous in the cutthroat world of Crescent Innovations. Her boss, Dalton Shaw, was a man who was used to getting everything he wanted. He was ruthless, calculating, and as charming as he was dangerous. He had built his empire through manipulation, a trail of broken promises, and questionable ethics. And Maya was about to learn just how far he would go to protect his empire. It was a cold Wednesday night when Maya was found dead in her office. She was slumped over her desk, a thin trail of blood dripped from the corner of her mouth. At first glance, it seemed like a tragic accident, maybe a fall, or even a drug overdose. But the scene told a different story. The door was locked from the inside. There were no signs of a struggle. No one had seen anyone enter or leave. The only thing that seemed out of place was the single black rose placed delicately on her desk. Detective Lauren Carter was called to the scene. A seasoned investigator in her early 40s, Lauren had seen it all: murders, betrayal, and corruption. But something about this case felt different. It wasn't just another corporate crime. It felt personal. The body was still warm when she arrived. Lauren walked slowly around the office, her eyes scanning every detail. There were no visible wounds, but something about the scene didn't add up. Maya's computer was open, displaying a document that seemed like it had been left unfinished. There was a half-empty mug of coffee on the corner of the desk. The room was quiet, save for the hum of the fluorescent lights above. Yet it felt heavy with secrets. The first thing Lauren did was pull the office security footage. The footage revealed something chilling. Maya had entered the office around 9 a.m., and the building's main doors had been locked after hours. No one else had entered after her, and the security guard had been at his station the entire time. At 7:45 p.m., Maya was still in her office working, but there was no sign of anyone leaving her office. How had she died? Lauren turned her attention to Maya's colleagues. The team at Crescent Innovations was a tight-knit group, and no one seemed to want to talk. However, a few whispers here and there told a different story. Maya's close friend, Elise Thompson, who had been working with her on several high-profile projects, seemed particularly distraught. She couldn't believe that Maya was dead, but when questioned, Elise mentioned that Maya had been acting strangely the day before her death. She seemed paranoid, Elise said, wiping tears from her eyes. She kept talking about a meeting she had with Dalton, but she wouldn't tell me what it was about. She said she was worried. Dalton Shaw had a reputation of being a brilliant leader, but he also had a darker side. The whispers around the office suggested that he could be controlling, manipulative, and even abusive when it came to business dealings. Some employees even spoke of his aggressive behavior towards women who were too ambitious or questioned his authority. Lauren needed to speak with Dalton Shaw. She had to get inside his head. He was the key to understanding what had happened to Maya. She wasn't sure if he was the murderer, but she was certain that he knew more than he was letting on. Dalton Shaw was everything Lauren had expected: tall, with a chiseled jaw, and piercing blue eyes that seemed to assess everything in the room. He wore a perfectly tailored suit, and his presence commanded respect. The office that he called his own was a masterpiece of modern design: sleek, minimalist, and slightly intimidating. The walls were lined with art, but it was the dark mahogany desk in the center of the room that drew the eye. Lauren wasn't intimidated, though. She had dealt with men like Dalton before, the ones who thought their power made them untouchable. "Detective Carter," Dalton greeted her, offering her a smooth smile as he extended his hand. "I've heard about your work. It's an honor to meet you." Lauren shook his hand firmly, but she didn't return the smile. "I'm here to ask you about Maya Everhart. She was found dead in her office last night." Dalton's face remained unreadable. "I'm aware. It's a tragedy. Maya was a brilliant young woman. She had so much potential." "What was your relationship with her?" Lauren asked bluntly. Dalton paused for a moment, as if considering the question carefully. "We worked together. She was one of my brightest employees. I admired her, but I never thought she was capable of this. She had a great future ahead of her. Why would anyone want to hurt her?" Lauren could feel the weight of his words, but they didn't feel sincere. There was something off about his demeanor. Too rehearsed, too calm. His eyes darted around the room, and for a split second, Lauren caught a glimpse of something. Fear. Guilt. "I'm sure you've heard the rumors, Detective," Dalton continued. "There's always talk in the office. But I have nothing to hide. I had no personal issues with Maya. She was a valued member of the team. I don't know who would want to hurt her." Lauren was certain he was hiding something. "Where were you last night?" "I was home," Dalton said without hesitation. "I have an alibi. My wife can confirm it." Lauren didn't believe him. His alibi was too perfect, too rehearsed. But without concrete evidence, she couldn't press further. She left the office, her mind racing. Dalton Shaw was a man with too many secrets. The truth was there. She just had to find it. Lauren turned her focus back to Maya's personal life. She had no known enemies, but the closer Lauren looked, the more she began to uncover. Maya had been working on a project that involved a major merger between Crescent Innovations and a rival tech firm. There were whispers that the deal had been controversial, with many employees fearing that the merger would cost them their jobs. Maya had also started distancing herself from her colleagues in the weeks leading up to her death. She had become obsessed with the merger, staying late at the office and working from home. But it was more than that. Maya had been researching something in secret, something that made her nervous. Her laptop, which had been wiped clean, had been accessed by an unknown source just hours before her death. It was as though someone knew exactly what she was about to uncover. Lauren's investigation began to take shape. The evidence was pointing to one person, Dalton Shaw. But Lauren needed more. She needed a motive. The breakthrough came when Lauren was able to access a hidden folder on Maya's laptop. Inside it, she found documents detailing the merger and the shady dealings behind it. Maya had discovered that the merger was a ruse, a way for Dalton Shaw to sell off the company's assets and make a huge profit while leaving employees unemployed and vulnerable. Maya had been prepared to blow the whistle on Shaw's illegal activities. The black rose on her desk, once seen as a symbol of mystery, now took on a chilling meaning. It was a warning, a sign from someone who was desperate to stop her from revealing the truth. Dalton Shaw had killed Maya to protect himself. He had murdered her to keep his secrets buried. With the evidence in hand, Lauren arrested Dalton Shaw. The trial that followed was a media frenzy. The story of his manipulation and greed captivated the nation. Dalton's charm had failed him in the end, and the world saw him for what he truly was, a man who would do anything to maintain control. Maya's family and friends mourned her loss, but her bravery had given them something more. Her actions had exposed a corrupt corporate empire and brought justice to a woman who had given everything for the truth. The case of Maya Everhart's murder left a lasting mark on the world. It sparked a movement for corporate transparency, led by those who, like Maya, were unafraid to speak out against injustice. Crescent Innovations collapsed, and Dalton Shaw was sentenced to life in prison. But the true victory was in the legacy Maya left behind. A legacy of courage, integrity, and the unwavering belief that truth would always prevail. The murder of Maya Everhart was a tragic reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind the walls of corporate success. But her story, her courage, and her determination to seek justice sparked change. Through her, the world learned that sometimes the most dangerous enemies are not the ones you see, but the ones who hide behind a mask of power and charm. Her story would not be forgotten.